Here there are such things that hold the talk of dodgers, their mirth and sorrowings. I know this park isn't haunted, but I wish it were, I do, 'cause it wouldn't be so lonely if it had a ghost or two. A park that has done what a park should do, a park that has sheltered life, that has put its loving concrete arms around a Dodger fan and his wife. A park that has echoed a baseball song, held up a rookie's stumbling feet, is the saddest sight when it's left alone that ever your eyes could meet. So whenever I go to Flatbush with the help of the BMT, I never walk by the empty park without pausing in hopes I won't see a park standing there, empty and barren, with some seats falling apart, 'cause I can't help thinking the poor old park is a park with a broken heart. 1. Charlie Ebbets. A cold-hearted scalawag by the name of Ned Hanlon was determined to do in 1902 what a ruthless, money-hungry scalawag by the name of Walter O'Malley ended up doing 55 years later. Hanlon wanted to transfer the borough's beloved baseball team out of Brooklyn. And Hanlon might well have gotten his way, except for one steadfastly loyal Dodger employee who not only loved Brooklyn passionately, but had a deep and unwavering faith that there was something very special about playing there. Brooklyn was his life, and it was his home. Charlie Ebbets was the employee's name, Brooklyn's first recorded saint. Since its founding in 1883, Ebbets had labored for the team called the Dodgers because the ballpark was situated at a confluence of trolley tracks, and one took one's life in one's own hands, dodging the trolley cars to get to the game. He began as a program and ticket hawker, and as the owners came to recognize his industriousness and loyalty, he was elevated to business manager. Majority stockholder Harry Vanderhorst rewarded Ebbets, making him an owner by selling him several of his shares. Vanderhorst was impressed with Ebbets and figured he would work even harder if he were a part owner. When in 1902 Harry Vanderhorst became ill, he put his stock interest up for sale. It was then that Hanlon, the Dodger manager, announced his intention to buy the stock, take over the team, and move it to Baltimore, where he had previously managed. Ebbets had no money, but he swore that he would find a way to keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn. He summoned all of his friends, and after pleading the merits of baseball in Brooklyn, he found one man of means, a furniture dealer, Henry Medicus, who had enough faith in Ebbets that he lent him the funds to buy Vanderhorst's stock. And so it was that Ebbets, not Hanlon, became the new owner of the Dodgers, and as a result, the Dodgers stayed. From the first, Ebbets showed he was an uncommon team owner. He believed that his first loyalty should be to the fans. Ebbets was operating dangerously in debt. He didn't have money for new players, and the team rarely finished in the top half of the standings. But when in 1906 the rival New York Giants, led by another former Baltimore star, John McGraw, offered him a fabulous sum of $30,000 for two of his best players, Ebbets refused to give in to the sweet allure of the money. He told a friend, "The Brooklyn fans deserve the best team I can give them." And for his fans, Ebbets dreamed of a modern park that would seat more than 25,000. Brooklyn wasn't much more than a series of cow pastures then, and to his associates that park Ebbets wanted to build seemed to be folly. The Dodgers played in a wooden stadium called Washington Park, so named because it stood on a site where George Washington fought one of a string of losing battles against the British during the Revolutionary War. Ebbets would take walks through the borough in search of a site for the stadium he was determined to erect. While walking through Flatbush, searching, he wandered through a malodorous 4.5-acre slum in the notorious Pigtown section. It was a wild, craggy piece of land, with shanties scattered over it, and in the middle of this nest of poverty was a large, gaping pit, into which the shanty dwellers threw their fetid, steaming garbage. Farmers from the area brought their pigs there to feed, hence Pigtown. When he checked the deeds to see who owned the land, Ebbets discovered 40 claims of ownership, either by deed or squatter's rights. He formed a corporation and, disguising his true purpose, bought the first parcel in 1908. Midway through the 3 years it took him to secure the other parcels, word leaked out as to his objective, and several of the plot owners hiked their prices sharply. By the end of 1911, he had been able to acquire the entire area except for one parcel. He had been unable to locate the owner. Private Dix traced the man first to California, then to Berlin, then to Paris. Ultimately, he was found in Montclair, New Jersey. Ebbets sent a purchasing agent to ask how much the owner wanted. The agent had no way of knowing whether the man had learned of the true purpose of the purchase, but when he told the owner that he was interested in the land, the owner laughed. He had forgotten that he had owned it. "Why would anyone be interested in land in Pigtown?" he asked, adding, "Would $500 be all right?" Ebbets now had the land, and even though he was up to his handlebar mustache in debt, his bank lent him enough money to begin construction. The squatters were driven out, the shanties torn down, the garbage pit filled and the area leveled, and on March 4th, 1912, Ebbets, wearing a black bowler and an elegant overcoat, stomped a shovel into the ground to begin the excavation. At the ceremony, a reporter asked Ebbets what he was going to name the new park. "Washington Park. The same as the old park, I suppose," Ebbets said. The newspaper man replied, "Why don't you call it Ebbets Field? It was your idea and nobody else's, and you've put yourself in hock to build it. It's going to be your monument, whether you like to think about it that way or not." Ebbets thoughtfully considered what the reporter had said. "All right," said Ebbets. "That's what we'll call it. Ebbets Field." The magic of Ebbets Field. Under the ownership of Charlie Ebbets, the Brooklyn Dodgers won 2 pennants in 1916 and 1920. They lost both series, the former to pitcher Babe Ruth and the Boston Red Sox, the latter to the Cleveland Indians, when Dodger pitcher Burleigh Grimes gave up the first Grand Slam home run in series history, and when a Dodger batter, Clarence Mitchell, hit into the first and only unassisted triple play. Ebbets, in 1913, had hired as manager the portly Wilbert Robinson, and it was Robinson who led the team from 1914 until 1931. So long as Ebbets ran things, the Dodgers were respectable, but Ebbets died in 1925, and none of the other club officials knew anything about running a baseball team. They chose the manager, lovable Uncle Robbie, as Dodger president. Obese, friendly, something of a clown, Robbie sat at the front office controls, his hands up in the air as the tiller went its own way. The team, known as the Robins in his honor, was for the Boyds, as it finished 6th the last 4 years of the 1920s. Many of the veteran players, unable to take Robinson seriously, decided to take fuller advantage of the ancillary joys of playing Major League Baseball. For such night prowlers, the road became much more fun. The players formed the 0 for 4 Club. They could play around all they wanted, but if Robinson caught them, they would be expelled from the club. Robinson didn't know about the 0 for 4 Club. He didn't know much of what was going on. But because the players were making so many mental errors, he announced that he was forming a club of his own, the Bonehead Club. Every time a player made a mistake, the player had to put $10 into a fund. That afternoon, Robinson screwed up the batting order that he presented to the umpires before the game, and when the Pirate manager caught it, the mistake cost the Dodgers the game. Wrote New York Sun reporter Eddie Murphy, "The manager of the Dodgers formed a Bonehead Club before yesterday's game and promptly elected himself a charter member." During Robinson's last few years, the team became known as the Daffiness Boys. On the field, the Dodgers were capable of just about anything imaginable. Floyd Cave's Babe Herman joined the Dodgers and immediately became a crowd favorite. He had a lifetime batting average of .324, and in 2 successive years hit .381 and .393, but his fielding and base-running lapses forged his legend. Herman once doubled into a double play during an exercise in comedy in which 3 runners ended up all sliding, diving, or striving to reach third base. On another occasion, a fly ball almost hit Herman in the head. One time, Herman was on the bench with a minor injury, and as he sat in the dugout,